Some photographs capture a moment. Others capture a person. Late one night, in a forgotten warehouse on the edge of the city, 23-year-old Elena Voss walked into a private photography studio. She believed this session would be the start of everything she had ever wanted. A breakthrough, recognition, a future. The man behind the camera was Victor Hale. Respected, reclusive, known for portraits that seemed to see straight through the surface. He worked alone, always on film, always in complete control. Elena followed his directions without hesitation. She adjusted her pose. She smiled when he asked. She trusted him completely. That trust was the last thing she would give freely. What began as a professional shoot became something far darker once the studio lights went down and the red light of the darkroom came on.
Welcome to Nightmare Crimes, where every story blurs the line between fact and fear. Some say they're true, others hope they're not. We don't decide, you do. Subscribe and step into the unknown.
Every year, thousands of young models chase the dream. One perfect shoot, one viral portfolio, a life changed forever. Most walk away with nothing more than a few good photos and bruised egos. Some walk away with stories they'll never tell. And a very few never walk away at all. We're going inside one of those stories. Her name was Elena Voss, 23 years old, fresh from a small town where the biggest spotlight was the local diner's neon sign. She had the look agencies crave, striking features, natural poise, and eyes that carried quiet ambition. Like so many before her, Elena spent her days grinding through open calls, building an Instagram portfolio, waiting for that one break. Then came the message, a direct message from Victor Hale, a photographer whose name carried weight in underground fashion circles. No big agency backing, no flashy website, just a private Instagram filled with stark, intimate portraits, black and white images that seemed to strip away every layer until only raw emotion remained. Critics called his work revelatory. Models who'd worked with him called it intense. Some stopped posting altogether afterward. Victor's message was simple. He wanted to shoot Elena. Exclusive. Private session. No assistants. No agents. Just the two of them, his vintage film cameras, and the chance to create something timeless. To Elena, it sounded like destiny. She didn't know that Victor Hale had sent that same message to dozens of young women over the years. She didn't know that some of those women were never seen again. And she certainly didn't know what waited beyond the studio lights in the locked darkroom where Victor developed far more than photographs. What started as a dream opportunity would become a fight for survival. A descent into obsession, deception, and a truth so dark it almost cost Elena everything. Elena Voss arrived at the warehouse just after sunset, heart pounding with the kind of excitement that makes everything feel electric. She'd texted her best friend the address. If I'm not posting by midnight, send help LOL, but it was half joke, half reality. This was Victor Hale. The Victor Hale. The man whose photos didn't just show beauty, they exposed it. Raw, unfiltered, the kind of work that made casting directors stop scrolling. The heavy metal door rolled up with a mechanical groan. Victor was waiting, tall, silver hair pulled back, wearing a simple black shirt that somehow looked expensive. He greeted her with a quiet smile and a firm handshake. No entourage, no makeup artist. No stylist. Just the two of them. Welcome to my sanctuary, he said. His voice was low, calm, the kind that makes you lean in to hear better. The studio felt like stepping into another era. No digital screens. No ring lights. Only classic medium format cameras, wooden tripods, and the faint, familiar smell of film and fixer drifting from somewhere deeper in the building. Victor didn't waste time on small talk. He handed her a steaming cup of coffee, asked about her journey, then guided her to the mark on the floor. The main light came on, soft, flattering, wrapping around her like an embrace. First rule, he said, peering through the viewfinder. No masks. I don't want the version of you that you show the world. I want the version you hide from it. Click. Elena laughed nervously. Most photographers barked orders. Victor spoke like he already knew her secrets and simply wanted permission to show them. Click. Turn your face toward the light. Yes. Now, let your shoulders drop. Good. Click. Think about the moment you decided to leave home. That exact second, something shifted. The pose felt natural. The camera didn't feel like an intruder. It felt like a witness. Victor moved around her slowly, changing angles, adjusting a reflector to catch the light in her eyes. Every few shots he'd pause, show her the Polaroid test strip. Look, he'd say, that's not just a pretty face. That's power. And she saw it. For the first time, she saw exactly what he was talking about. The images were magnetic. Haunting. Real. Hours started to blur. Wardrobe changes, simple at first. A silk slip. Bare shoulders. Victor never rushed. He poured deep red wine into heavy glass tumblers. Talked about the great photographers of the past. How they didn't just take pictures. They captured souls before the world could damage them. Beauty fades, he said quietly, reloading film. But a perfect negative? That lasts forever. Elena opened up in ways she never had on a set. She told him about growing up feeling invisible. About the fear that she wasn't special enough to make it. Victor listened. Really listened. Nodded. Clicked the shutter at exactly the moments her voice cracked. You're not like the others, he said. And in that moment, she believed him. The energy in the room changed, became intimate, charged. Poses grew bolder. Lighting dimmed to dramatic side light that carved shadows across her skin. The wine warmed her. The compliments landed deeper. Then around midnight, Victor stepped back from the camera and studied her. Not through the lens, but directly. A small smile. We've got something extraordinary on these rolls, he said. Come with me. I want to develop the first few frames while they're still fresh. You'll see yourself emerge in the tray, exactly as I see you. He extended his hand toward a heavy dark door at the back of the studio. Behind it, a faint red glow leaked from the edges. Elena hesitated for half a heartbeat, but the night felt magical. Safe. Destined. She never felt so seen. So understood. She followed him. The door closed behind them with a soft, definitive thud. The darkroom door sealed behind them with a heavy click that echoed longer than it should have. Elena stood in the crimson glow, watching Victor slide the first exposed film into a spiral reel with practiced precision. The air was thick, chemicals, dampness, something metallic underneath. It felt intimate at first, almost sacred. Victor didn't speak much now. He moved with quiet focus, pouring developer into the tank, starting the timer, agitating the solution with slow, rhythmic twists. You'll see, he said softly. Images lie under normal light. Here, in the red, only the truth comes out. Elena leaned closer, peering into the tray as he poured the stop bath. The first print began to appear, like magic, like watching a ghost materialize. Her own face stared back, stunning, vulnerable, exactly as he'd promised. But then the second print emerged beside it. Same pose, same lighting, but the eyes weren't quite hers. The jawline was slightly different. It was her expression, laid over an older negative. A different woman from years ago wearing Elena's fear. She blinked, looked closer. A third print. Again, her face subtly grafted onto another body another time. Like a composite. Like a collection. Her stomach tightened. Victor, what are these? He didn't stop working. Just smiled at the tray. Studies, he said. Inspiration. Every great artist builds on what came before. But his voice had changed. The warmth was gone. It was flatter now. Possessive. Elena took a small step back. That's when she noticed the walls more clearly. Under the red light, dozens, hundreds of prints hung in rows. All women, all in similar poses, all with that same resigned, wide-eyed stare. Some images were crisp and recent. Others yellowed, curling at the edges. Decades old. And in the corner, a large locked cabinet. Metal. Industrial. A faint scratching sound came from inside. Soft. Irregular. Like fingernails testing wood. Her pulse spiked. She forced a laugh. It came out thin. Okay, this is intense. Maybe we should head back to the studio. Victor turned fully toward her for the first time since entering the room. The red light carved deep shadows across his face. He wasn't smiling anymore. Why rush? He asked. We're just getting started. You're perfect, Elena. More perfect than the others. The others. The word hung in the chemical air. Now the mask slipped completely. He stepped closer, blocking the door. Speaking calmly, almost tenderly, as if confessing a love story. Some girls fight. Some cry. Some understand right away. This is preservation. True beauty can't survive out there. The world ruins it. But here in silver halide, fixed forever, it stays pure. Elena's breathing quickened. She scanned the room for exits. Only one door. Behind him, she spotted a shelf of chemical bottles, grabbed the nearest fixer, heavy glass, and held it like a weapon. Stay back. Victor tilted his head, almost amused. You don't want to damage the prints. That's when the scratching in the cabinet grew louder. More desperate. Elena's mind raced. Fight or flight in a room with no windows. No signal. No witnesses. She made her choice. With a sudden scream, she hurled the bottle. Not at the cabinet, but straight at Victor's face. Glass shattered. Liquid splashed across his eyes, his skin. He roared in pain, staggering back, clawing at his face. Elena lunged for the door. Locked. Of course it was locked. But the impact had knocked a key ring from his pocket. It skittered across the wet floor. She dove for it as Victor, half-blinded, lunged after her. The chase began, through narrow corridors of hanging film, strips slapping against her face like cold hands. Hundreds of captured eyes watching her run. Victor's voice echoed behind her, wet, furious, determined. You can't leave. You're already part of the collection. On-screen text appears mid-chase. What would you do next? A. Smash the overhead light to destroy the negatives. B. Try to open the scratching cabinet. C. Look for a ventilation shaft or back exit. Comment your choice below. We read every one. But tell us, how would you fight back? We are waiting. Elena's hand closed around the fallen keys just as Victor's fingers brushed her ankle. She kicked hard, connected with his jaw, and scrambled to her feet. The darkroom exploded into motion. She bolted down a narrow corridor lined with drying film, hundreds of negatives slapping against her arms and face like cold, accusing fingers. Every strip carried a woman's face. Some stared blankly. Some looked terrified. All of them silent. Victor's roar echoed behind her. You're ruining everything. He was fast, faster than a man half-blinded by chemicals should be, driven by years of obsession. Elena rounded a corner, slammed into a metal shelf. Bottles crashed. Acidic liquid burned across the floor, eating at the spilled negatives, faces bubbling and dissolving before her eyes. She didn't stop. Another door, unlocked storage room. She darted inside, pulled it shut behind her, braced her body against it. Victor pounded once, twice. The door rattled but held. For a heartbeat, silence. Then his voice close through the wood. Calm again, almost gentle. You can't destroy what I've already captured, Elena. You're on every frame. You'll always be mine. Her eyes frantically scanned the room. A small ventilation great high on the wall. Too small. A rolling cart loaded with archival boxes. She shoved it against the door. Extra weight. Then she saw it. An overhead work light on a swinging arm. White light. The kind that ruins undeveloped film. Victor began kicking the door, steady, methodical. Elena grabbed a heavy tripod, used it as a pole vault to swing the white light down. She smashed it across rack after rack of hanging negatives. White light flooded the corridors. Wherever it touched, images burned away, faces bleaching out, vanishing into blank silver. Victor screamed, not in pain this time, but in pure agony. She burst back into the main darkroom. Victor lunged from the shadows, one eye swollen shut, the other wild. They collided. He pinned her against a tray stand. Chemicals splashed across both of them, burning skin, filling the air with toxic fumes. Elena drove her knee up, caught him in the stomach. He doubled over. She grabbed a loose film reel, sharp metal edges, and slashed across his forearm. Blood mixed with developer on the floor. Victor staggered back, slipped on the slick mess, and crashed into the final shelf. The entire wall of prints collapsed on him. Hundreds of faces burying their creator in a landslide of silver gelatin. Elena didn't wait to see if he was unconscious. She ran for the exit door, the one with the push bar and the glowing red exit sign she'd missed in the panic. One final key from the ring. It turned. Cold night air hit her like salvation. She stumbled out into the gravel lot, lungs burning, skin stinging from chemicals. Behind her, the warehouse door hung open, red lights spilling out like blood. In the distance, sirens. Her friend, worried when Elena stopped replying texts, had called the police with the address she'd proudly shared earlier that day. Red and blue lights painted the building as officers swarmed in. They found Victor half-conscious under the avalanche of his own work. They found the prints, hundreds spanning decades. Some matched missing persons cases that had long gone cold. Others were faces no one had ever reported missing. And in a locked cabinet, the source of the scratching, they found a hidden compartment with older, preserved items, evidence that turned stomachs even among seasoned detectives. Elena was wrapped in a blanket, treated for chemical burns, and taken to the hospital. She survived, but every time she closes her eyes, she still sees those faces emerging in the tray. And sometimes, in the dark, she swears she hears the faint click of a shutter. Could you have escaped Victor's darkroom? What was the smartest move Elena made? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read them all. Elena Voss made it out alive. But survival isn't the same as being untouched. She spent weeks recovering from chemical burns and nightmares that woke her gasping, convinced she was still trapped under that red light. Therapy helped. Time helped a little. She never modeled again. The camera, once her dream, became something she couldn't even look at without her pulse racing. Victor Hale was arrested that night. The search of his warehouse uncovered hundreds of prints spanning more than 2 decades. Some matched long cold missing persons cases, young women who had answered similar private shoot invitations and simply vanished. Others were faces no one had ever reported missing, until now. Investigators found journals detailing his obsession, how he believed he was preserving beauty from a world that would inevitably destroy it, how each woman had, in his mind, willingly given herself to eternity through his lens. He never expressed remorse, only frustration that his life's work had been interrupted. Victor is serving multiple life sentences. The warehouse was demolished. The prints remain locked in evidence storage. But the story doesn't end there. Because for every Victor Hale caught, how many others are still out there, working quietly, building trust, waiting for the right moment to close the darkroom door? In an age where everyone wants to be seen, where social media feeds on images and validation, the line between opportunity and danger can be razor thin. A private message, a flattering offer, a promise of immortality in a single frame. Elena's story is a warning and a reminder. Trust your instincts. Share your location with someone you trust. Never let ambition blind you to red flags. Because some photographs aren't meant to hang on a wall. Some are meant to keep secrets forever. On-screen text overlay appears gently. What lesson do you take from Elena's story? Would you have seen the warning signs sooner? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one. Your insight might help someone else stay safe. If this case left you thinking twice before answering that next DM, do us a favor. Hit like if you want more stories like this. Subscribe and turn on notifications. New nightmares drop every week. And share this video with anyone chasing big dreams in a world full of shadows. Thank you for staying with us through the dark. This is Nightmare Crimes. Stay aware, stay safe, and whatever you do, keep the lights on.